You guys know what a musician is, right? Okay. Are any of you consider yourself a musician? Some of you? And there's like different, like some of you thought of this, okay, when you thought musician. Some of you were like, no, you thought of something like this, okay? There's all different kinds of musicians out there. Oh, wait, sorry, Sally. Yeah, that's her. Okay. There's all different musicians. How about this, a Canadian? You know what that is? I discovered that girls think Canadians are attractive, okay? There's this guy, okay? They're both Canadians. I mean, even AJ's got a crush on this guy, I think. You know what a mathematician is? Okay. People that like this, okay, or nerds, okay? You know what I mean? So, okay. You know what an Olympian is, okay? You're like me, all right. I didn't have a picture of this one, because this is what an Olympian looks like. Okay, no. If watching TV was an Olympic sport. But anyways, there's Olympian, you know what that is. Okay, valedictorian. Okay, we got one more. Christian. Now, you know what that one is, I hope, maybe. And I was thinking about this is kind of interesting, though. If I was to go around the room and have you write down what a Christian is, and then we compared what y'all wrote down, it would probably be pretty different. Like some of you, I mean, hopefully has Jesus in there somewhere, but other than that, it would vary quite a bit in what people's opinions are. And then if you go like outside of church to like this church to other churches, there would be even more differences. And then if you just ask people that aren't like don't go to church, aren't Christians or anything like that, or wouldn't call themselves that, there's like even more. Like some of them would just say things like they're mean people, they're judgmental, they're those kind of, like some people would feel that way, and maybe they feel that way rightly, I don't know. But there's a lot of different thoughts about Christian and what that is, and it seems kind of weird that we probably would actually struggle to define it, a lot of us. Most of you would say there was, if you are a Christian, okay, you would say there was a time you became a Christian. And if you're not a Christian, most of us that are would say there was a time we became. Now, I don't know if you grew up like I did. Some of you grew up in church. And those of us that grew up in church, we became a Christian multiple times. Okay, anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, it worked like this. Okay, when I was 6 years old, I gave my life to Jesus. I was saved. And then every time they would talk about hell, I would get saved again, okay? Basically, and it's kind of stupid. I remember I was 10 years old, okay? I was on the worship team. I've been playing drums since I was 10 in church, okay? I was on the worship team. I was part of church, knew I was a believer, and my parents took us to this other church had this big, play. And in the play, there were these two people, and one of them, received Jesus and believed in him, and the other one rejected him. And then they died in a car wreck, okay, on the stage. And then they were getting judged, okay? And the Christian one goes to heaven. And then the other person, there was this girl, she had rejected God, and then so after she was judged, all of a sudden in this auditorium with all these people dressed as demons, ran out, okay? And they grabbed her and started dragging her across the stage. And this girl, okay, she's a good actress. She was screaming like someone was pulling the eyeballs out of her head. She was and then they had these doors. I don't know how their stage went down, they had a hole or something. They opened up the stage and smoke came out, and they literally drug her screaming and crying into this thing, and then they closed the doors on her in hell. And then they come and say, so, if you don't want that to happen to you, I want you to raise your hand to receive Jesus. Do you want Jesus now? I was like, yes, again, now. As much as I wanted him so much. I was like, I need to be sure because I do not. And so I got scared into being a Christian. I don't know, maybe you experienced that. I don't think that's really the way we're supposed to do it, try and scare people and like that. There's just a lot of different thoughts when it comes to that. And some people would say, okay, some of you, if your friend at school asked you, are you a Christian? You would say yes, but you would say, yes, but I want to make sure you understand, I'm not like those Christians. There's different kinds, and it's weird. Okay, so there's all this weirdness about Christian, but what might even be weirder to you is that Jesus never called anyone a Christian. He never called anyone to become a Christian. He never said, hey, y'all need to be Christians. In fact, in the Bible, the word Christian only happens 3 times, and it's not something that people who believed in Jesus called each other. In fact, I'm going to just show you where it happens one of the times in the Bible. This is in the very beginning, the first time. So it says, for a whole year, Barnabas and Saul met with a church and taught in great numbers of people. So they're with a church, okay, a big church, probably really big. And then it says, and the disciples were called Christians first at Antioch. So there's this city, it's called Antioch. It's like Burleson there, Antioch. And there's a church there. And in that church, some people, or around in that community, people just called them Christians. This was probably not... they meant it as a down thing. Look at those little mini Jesuses, mini Christs. Okay, look at those little Christians. And eventually Christians just took it on. It's kind of sometimes you like give somebody a nickname and they don't like it, and then they just go ahead and, oh yeah, actually I do like that. Okay, when I was in high school, I was a band nerd. I was in band, and the athletic guys always called us band nerds, okay? At first, we didn't like it. We're like, don't call us that. And then we went to state, and they didn't. And then they're like, band nerds, like, that's right. And so we just started calling ourselves band nerds. And that's basically what happened with Christians. They didn't call themselves Christians, other people did. And eventually we were like, actually, we kind of like that. We'll go with that. We'll go with Christians. And so that's where that comes from. But what I want you to see is what it really was disciples. That's the word that the Bible uses over and over and over again. Jesus didn't say, go and make Christians. He said, go and make disciples. Over and over, he says, you will be my disciple if you, and then he said some things, okay? And he taught us that we were to become disciples. Now, maybe a disciple is a Christian, and a Christian is a disciple, but this is what we were called to be if you wanted to follow Jesus. And they didn't say they were in Christianity, okay? Like we say that today. It's like, oh, there's the Christianity. We're part of Christianity. They called it something else. They actually called it the way, which is kind of interesting. This is what it says. So if he found any who belonged to the way, okay, so Saul was looking for people that belonged to the way so he could put them in prison. Okay, this is not a good thing. But they called it the way, and the reason they called it that was because it was such a lifestyle that the people lived. It was like it was a way of life. When you saw people who were disciples, it was like the way that they were was so different. They just called them part of the way. And so I was thinking about how important it is then for us to know what a disciple is. Because this is what he says we're supposed to be if we're going to be a follower of Jesus. Now, we're not going to ban calling each other Christians around here. Like, we don't say Christian in this church. No, it's not going to be that, okay? I'm not going to be weird about it or anything. But what is a disciple? We need to kind of know what that is. Okay, so a disciple, it is to be with someone, to become like them, and to do what they do. A disciple, if you do that, you're going to be with somebody so that you can be like them, and you can do what they do. And I try to think of a good example in our culture today. But like it's not like a teacher, okay? It's similar. It's not, you go to school and you can leave. The only thing I could think of is like stuff from movies, okay? Okay, anybody like Star Wars? Okay, it would be like, I know this is cheesy, but it'd be like if you had a Padawan and like a Jedi Master, and they go and they spend their life with them. They spend years of their life with them to learn their character, their ideas, and so they can like do what they can do. And so if we're talking about being a disciple of Jesus, okay, it means that a disciple of Jesus seeks to be with Jesus. That's what they want to do. They want to be with him, to become like him and do what he does. If I'm a disciple of Jesus, I am wanting to be with him so that I can become like him and do what he does. That is the heart of what a disciple does. That is what it looks like if someone is a disciple. Now, I think Christian equals disciple. If you call yourself a Christian, then you would be a disciple. Or if you're a disciple, then you're a Christian. There's a lot of times people think it doesn't equal that. In fact, I know this because I know there were some times in my life when people are you a disciple? I'm like, I'm a Christian, I know that, but I don't know if I'm a disciple. I don't really know what that looks like, what that is. And if Christian does not equal disciple, I don't know what Christian is. It's something we've made up. And that's what I think part of the problem is. Okay? It's actually a really big problem, okay? And the problem is that you can call yourself a Christian and live a relatively unchanged life. That you see this, and people say, oh, yeah, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, and their life looks exactly like other people. In fact, this is part of the people that are not part of the faith look at Christians and go, whatever, y'all are just a bunch of hypocrites, because we say we're following Jesus, but then nothing really changes. You can call yourself a Christian and not desire to be with Jesus. Now, that sounds weird. It's like, well, I want to be with him when I die in heaven, but now I kind of have my life, okay? And you can call yourself a Christian and not seek to be like Jesus, to not really want to do what he did, to not want to do what Jesus would do. And the big problem with that is you can't call yourself a disciple without those things. If you are not seeking to be like him, to do what he would do, and to be with him, and to be changed by him, you can't call yourself a disciple. So my question for you is this. Are you a disciple or just a Christian? Now, if a Christian is a disciple, then it's the same thing. But the problem is, I think for many of us, we would label ourselves a Christian. But if you ask yourself this honestly and looking at what a disciple is, you go, maybe. So I want us to think about it a little bit, just for a few minutes, about what a disciple is, what they look like, and if you are one, and if you want to become one. So to do that, I want to look at one of the first disciples that there ever was, Peter and his brother Andrew. And it's really simple. So one day Jesus is walking along by a lake, okay? He was walking beside the sea. I guess it was a sea, not a lake. I don't know what the difference is. The Sea of Galilee. And he saw two brothers called Simon called Peter, and his brother Andrew. They were casting their net into a lake for their fishermen. So you got an image of two guys, they're in a boat. throwing their nets, catching some fish. That's what they did for a living. It was their job, okay? Come, follow me, said Jesus, and I will make you fishers of men. He's relating to them about from what they're doing to what they're going to do. And they, at once, they left their nets and followed him. So this was what he said. He comes to them, hey, follow me. They left what they were doing, and they followed him. And apparently this is what he did for a lot of his disciples, because just a little later, you'll read something like this. It says, after this, Jesus went out and saw a tax collector named Levi. So his job was a tax collector. And if this happened to you today, it would have said something like, and then he went and saw a student named Joel, and he was doing math homework, and he said, leave everything and follow me. Okay, you're like, I'll leave my math homework, no problem, okay? He said, sitting at the booth, so he said, follow me, Jesus said, and Levi got up, left everything, and followed him. And this sounds kind of crazy, like you're sitting there doing your job, or you're at school, or whatever, and this guy walks in and says, follow me, and you just like, okay, done, and leave. Part of it is because we don't really understand what was happening in their culture. So they had these guys, like, there was other guys, but like Jesus, who would be a rabbi. They were like a teacher. And to get asked to follow a rabbi was kind of a big deal, because you could train with him and learn to do what he could do. And look, maybe this will help. Okay, does anybody play baseball? Who's the baseballers? Okay. Would anyone think it would be like the dream to be in like the MLB? Anybody would like that? Okay, sounds like yes, me, a few of you. All right, so, okay, I don't know who's good. Who would be like the guy to like be like in baseball? Who? Okay, so I hear a couple of names. Okay, so okay, let me imagine this for Kaysen. Okay, let's say Kaysen graduates. Okay, and he is waiting to go to wherever he's going to go to school, but he has a summer job because he needs money, and like most of us do. So he's over there working at, I don't know, Chick-fil-A. You know, my pleasure. Good to see you. Okay, and so he's there working, and one day, I couldn't remember the name. That guy comes in, okay? And he comes into your restaurant, which would be pretty amazing, right? And somehow ends up talking to Kaysen. And he talks to him for a little while. I was like, you know what? You're a pretty cool guy. And he says, I tell you what I want you to do is, if you will come with me, I'm going to train you. And okay, you're going to come over there. I'm going to train you daily. And whenever I have practice with the team, you're going to come practice with us. You're going to be a part of the practice team and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to make sure that we find you the right team or college or whatever to get into. And he himself says, I want to train you. The only thing is you got to leave behind what you're doing for the next year and come do that. Now, wouldn't you say he'd be crazy to say no? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course he's going to say yes to that. That would be the greatest opportunity ever to go and train like with an actual major league team and with one of the best players in the world, right? Big deal. So those of you that don't do sports, that's totally unrelated to you. But like, if you wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, and you broke, and so you're not going to a good school, right? You're at TCC, like working your way up. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to afford anything better than this. And then in walks a similar situation. You're at a job or whatever, and in walks a professor from Harvard. And they have a conversation with you, and they say, you know what? I think you could be something great. I want you to come. I'm going to sponsor you to be in there. I'm going to train you. I'm going to help you get through it, because I think you can do what I'm doing and more. And now, you would take that opportunity. Okay, what I'm trying to let you see is this is the opportunity Jesus is offering, something like this, where it's like this. He's saying, hey, if you will come and be my disciple, you'll leave everything behind and come follow me. I'm going to help you be like me. In other words, okay, you're going to have my joy. You're going to have the kind of joy in your life that when everything in the world is a mess, you're still happy. You're going to have a kind of peace in your life that when everybody else would be stressed out, you still have peace. You're going to be like me in that you're going to have a compassion for people that you didn't have. You're going to overcome sin, because Jesus overcame all sin. And you in your life, you're going to get over it because you're going to become like him. You're going to begin to do things that he would do. You're going to have an impact on people's lives. Like, people will talk about you down the road. Oh yeah, that was the person that made an impact on me. That was the person that changed my life. And you will begin to do things that he would do. That's what he offers. And so it actually isn't very surprising to me that Peter would go do that. Because then Peter, he's just a fisherman. I don't think when he was out on that lake throwing fish in that he ever thought, you know what, someday I'm going to walk on this water. Like, never did he think that. But sure enough, with Jesus, he walked on that water. That's pretty crazy, okay? He never thought. Anyways, a person who can't walk, and his shadow would touch them, and they would like stand up and walk. Like that. And if you decide, you have to be most people don't really want to left everything. Have that same thing. I'm not saying you got to leave school. Like, there's probably not that. I'm not saying you got to quit your sport or leave all your friends or do all that. I don't know what actually it will cause you to leave. You may keep all of that, but there will be some things in your life that it's like, I don't want to leave this behind. But to follow Jesus, you will. And actually, Jesus gave this invitation to people in the Bible, and they didn't take it. There was one guy who came and said, how do I have like real life, eternal life? And Jesus said to him, it says, Jesus looked at him and loved him. One thing you lack, he said, go sell everything. In other words, leave everything behind. And you'll have, and give it to the poor, and you'll have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. Same invitation as the other, follow me. And then this is what happens. The man's face fell, and he went away sad because he had great wealth. Because he had. And the problem is that what I think happens in us is because of what we have, something, this part of my life, we don't want to let it go. In fact, we kind of live in the culture and the world of, just do you, right? Just be yourself. Just, don't let anybody change you. You kind of feel that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, you don't want to be with someone that's going to make you be different. That's exactly what Jesus does. And I don't know about you, if I actually think about myself, I actually do want to be different. Because like the part of me that's a jerk to people, I would really like that to go away. The part of me that like gives into like temptation and lust and stuff, I really would like that to go away. You know what I mean? A part of me that like just gets selfish, I want that to go away, and that goes away in Christ. And so what we want to do is let go of some stuff. On the surface, following is easy. Like, here we go. AJ is going to come. I'm going to be Jesus. He's going to be somebody that needs to follow Jesus, okay? And it's relatively easy. If you just think like an image of it, it's like, okay, I'm just going to follow. No, I'm not doing that yet. Just follow. He can't follow instructions. Follow me. And so basically, now it's going to be awkward because I'm going to walk out here where y'all are, okay? and you're like, why? But sometimes following Jesus is uncomfortable. And then sometimes you got to do something like, get out of my way. And it's going to be difficult. And he may take you through places you didn't think you'd ever go. And we didn't practice this, okay? The deal is you're following him to be with him, to be like him. But here's the struggle, okay? So now he's going to follow me, but he's holding on to something. He's going to follow me, and eventually he can't follow me anymore. It's tied to something down there, guys. Okay, everyone's like, what is it? It's just, okay. And here's the deal. Okay, he was following me, and now he's not. And this is the way, this is the picture of a lot of our lives. Okay, let me just tell you what happened. Let's go back over here. You heard about God, maybe. Okay, now this is not everybody. And I'm going to talk to people that would call themselves a Christian. Okay, if you're not a Christian, you're going to see the experience of some people that are in this room. You heard about God and you said, yes, I believe in Jesus. I don't want to go to hell. Okay, and so you decided, I'm going to be a Christian. And so it's like, yeah, I'll follow Jesus. And so you started following Jesus. And eventually something happened. You followed him just for a little bit. And it's not like you don't believe in God. You're just not becoming like Jesus anymore. You're just not growing anymore. You're not changing anymore. You're stuck. The only way to keep going is to let go. And then you can go back to your seat. It's to let go. There's some things that we just have to let go of. And, well, I don't have that back there anymore. Okay. A disciple of Jesus, we said, seeks to be with Jesus. So here's the thing. If you want to be with Jesus, and I'm going to help you learn about that, okay? So here's the thing. Like, you may look at this list and go, like, I don't even know, how do you do that today? Like, in Jesus' day, it was easy. It was like, hey, there's Jesus, okay? And you just walk over there where he is, okay? But nowadays, you can't really do that, okay? Because he's not here in that way. But so next week, we're going to talk about how you actually be with him today. But if you want to do that, I'm going to just tell you ahead of time, there's going to be some stuff that you may be doing that you have to put down so that you can spend time with Jesus. If you want to become like him, there's some parts of your personality that you're going to have to let go. Otherwise, you'll never become like him. There's some stuff that you say, but that's kind of who I am and the way I am. And he's going to go, well, not anymore. and you're going to put that down. If you want to do what he does, there's some stuff you're doing that you're going to have to put down. And so the real decision to make on the whole thing, though, is are you a disciple? And really, do you want to be a disciple? It's a question that I think we should all ask ourselves. I mean, if you would say, you're believing Jesus and you believe in that, and are you really his disciple? In other words, are you really trying to be with him and be like him and do what he does? That's the question. And if you're not doing that, do you want to do that? And so tonight, my challenge for you is to commit yourself to growing in that and learning in that. See, a discipleship is a process. We don't become perfectly like Jesus the day we get saved. For the rest of your life, you're his disciple. It's not a 1-year thing, a 3-year thing. It's the rest of my life. I am growing in this all the time. In fact, as I've been studying for these next few messages and what we're going to do, I've been growing. I'm like, wow, I can be more. I can be closer to him. I can be more like him. I can do more of what he does. And that's what I want for you, is to go beyond just calling yourself a Christian and call yourself a disciple, someone who is being led by him. So if you don't know if you're a disciple, I don't know for sure. Well, make a decision. I'm going to follow Jesus. Then you are. And then he'll change you, and you'll become something more. Imagine you wake up in the morning and you have this desire to be closer to him, this desire to know him, what it would do in your life. What it would do in your life to become actually like Jesus. People would look at Christians different if Christians act like Jesus. It'd be hard to talk bad about Christians if Christians act like Jesus. So that's what we want to learn to become. We're going to take just a moment to pray. And so before we do that, I want to just ask you to close your eyes. We do this to tune everybody else out, to look into our own hearts, and to seek God and see what he wants to do in us. And so I just want you to ask this question to yourself. Am I a disciple? Are you seeking him? And if your answer to that is, I don't know, or no, then my next question is, do you want to be? And if you want to be a disciple, I believe it begins with this simple thing of committing to him that you will. You just say, yeah, I want to follow you. I'm going to do that. I'm willing to let go of whatever it takes, and I'm going to follow you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pray over you, and then we're going to stand in a moment, and if you want prayer for anything in your life, we want to pray with you. But especially, if you need to make this decision to take a step and say, I'm not going to go another day not knowing I'm his disciple. I want to encourage you to go and pray with somebody and believe that you're making a fresh and new commitment to being his disciple. Father God, I just pray for everyone in this room, Lord, that there be something in them that desires to know you, desires to be close to you, Lord, that is truly your disciple. Lord, that we would become like you and do the things that you can do. I pray that you would draw anyone that needs it. In Jesus' name, amen.